You are about to hear a sentence that could change everything, a sentence so simple you may doubt it. But I say, do not measure the size of the sentence. Measure the power it holds when repeated with belief. For what you speak before sleep becomes what you live when you rise. Now ask yourself, are you satisfied? Do you rise with joy or dread? Do you walk in control or just react to life? Do you have the freedom to give your family what they need, the time to enjoy your days, the wealth to buy what you desire, to move where you wish, to retire if you please? If not, this may be the most important instruction you ever hear, because the sentence I will give you is not motivation. It is not poetry. It is law. And if you repeat it before you sleep, not once, but daily, it will begin to transform you from the inside out. Let me speak plainly. You were not meant to struggle. You were not meant to suffer in silence. You were not meant to beg for time, for money, for energy, for relief. You were born with power, and that power is governed by the thoughts you choose and the thoughts you repeat when your conscious mind begins to sleep. For when you lie in bed at night, you are not resting. You are programming. And most men lie there repeating fear, worry, guilt, confusion. So they rise with more of the same. But the successful, the truly rich, their mind works while their body sleeps. And what they give it to think upon in that final hour becomes their new life. You say you want to leave your job? You say you want more time? You say you want to buy without guilt, give to your family, help others, and move like a man who owns his time? Then listen. Not once, not casually, not while distracted. Listen deeply. Listen repeatedly. Listen until the old you is removed and the new you is installed. Because I will say this once, if you do not master this hour before sleep, your family may suffer for your delay. They will not tell you, but they feel your tension. They see your uncertainty. They hear the words you don't speak. And if you continue to live without control, they will inherit your limitation. You must not allow that. You must become the man who commands his world, not the one who explains why it never changed. Because if you fail to control your mind before bed, your future will be controlled by every old program that runs wild in your sleep. And that means regret. That means years gone. That means dreams buried. But if you choose to stay with me, if you hear this message not once but often, you will begin to walk with clarity, with belief, with structure, with decision. You will begin to change your speech, your energy, your posture. You will look in the mirror and see the man you always knew you could be, but never became, until now. So let this be the hour everything changes. Silence the world. Turn off distraction. And give your full attention to what follows. Repeat this message every night if you must, because the man who masters this one nightly sentence and repeats it with faith cannot remain poor, cannot remain fearful, cannot remain small. He becomes rich in mind first and rich in life soon after. Now listen closely and prepare to repeat this sentence, for it will become the foundation of your new life, and the world will respond to the man who dares to believe it. Let us begin. You may believe that wealth is earned during the hours of action, but I tell you now that is not when riches are made. Riches are made in the hour when all the world goes silent, when the noise of the day withdraws, when your conscious mind weakens and your subconscious awakens to do its real work. The hour before sleep is the workshop of wealth. It is during this sacred hour, when the body prepares to rest and the world grows still, that the subconscious becomes most accessible. The conscious guard stands down, the gates open, and what you place at the doorstep of your mind in that hour will walk freely into your soul. The last thought you feed it becomes the first brick in tomorrow's result. And yet most men go to sleep like beggars. They close their eyes with fear in their hearts, worry on their breath, confusion in their mind. They rehearse all that went wrong. They dwell on what they lack. They entertain every suggestion of defeat. And then they wonder why they wake with no fire, no clarity, no fortune. But the successful, the wise, the builders of empires, They do not close the day in confusion. They command the final hour. They give their subconscious no doubt to absorb, no fear to repeat, no failure to recreate. Instead, they offer it a definite aim, spoken aloud with faith, reinforced by repetition. And the subconscious, like a loyal servant, obeys. Let me state it plainly. The mind obeys repeated suggestion, especially when the conscious gate is quiet. That is the moment when your words enter not only your ears, but your entire identity. You may speak many things in the daylight, but it is what you whisper before you sleep that becomes who you are. You were not taught this in school. You were taught to solve problems, to grind, to push, to hustle. But no one told you that riches are not only the reward of labor, they are the response to mental law. And that law does not operate on work alone. It operates on belief fixed into the subconscious by repetition and faith. Now understand this. The subconscious never rests. While your limbs sleep, while your tongue is still, while your eyes are shut, the subconscious mind is awake, sorting, reviewing, associating, constructing. It pulls upon infinite intelligence, and it uses whatever material you fed it last. Garbage in, regret out, purpose in, riches out. And the most powerful material you can offer it, the highest blueprint to hand it, is a clear, definite, faith-filled command spoken just before sleep. One sentence, one aim, one thought. If repeated nightly with belief, it becomes the code of your destiny. This is why I instruct every man to choose his definite chief aim, not merely as a desire, but as a command to self. And I tell him to read it aloud twice each day, once in the morning and once just before bed. But I say with emphasis, the second reading is more powerful than the first. Why? Because in the morning, the mind is preparing to engage the world. It is surrounded by noise, pressure, distraction. But in the night, the mind is alone. It is quiet. It is soft clay. And what you impress upon it then hardens into habit, thought, and belief. The wealth you earn is planted in that stillness. Let me now give you an affirmation to repeat. Every night I impress my definite aim into my subconscious, and it obeys. Say it again, slowly. Let the words settle. For they are not poetry. They are instruction to the very mechanism that creates your life. The man who speaks this nightly and follows with action by day cannot be denied riches. He is obeying the same law that built every fortune you admire. You may ask, is it really that simple? I answer, yes. But simple does not mean easy. For to do this nightly, without drifting, without forgetting, without replacing it with complaint, requires decision. The drifting man will not do it. The busy man will excuse it. But the definite man, he commands himself nightly. You do not wait until morning to decide what kind of man you will be. You decide it before bed. You do not wait until tomorrow to become rich. You declare it the night before. You do not rise with power if you sleep in fear. You sleep with power and rise in obedience to it. Let the world continue to doubt. Let others fill their last hour with entertainment, with confusion, with complaint. But you are now a man of intention. You are now a man who understands that mental discipline does not end at dusk. It begins there. Repeat your sentence before bed, the one you have chosen. Speak it slowly, speak it with fire. Speak it as if your mind is a vault, and these are the words that unlock it, because they are. And if tonight you forget, return. If tonight you are tired, speak anyway. If tonight you feel doubt, shout it even louder, because every night you persist, you are installing the gears of wealth within your soul. This is not entertainment. This is not theory. This is law. And if you obey it night after night without fail, you will not merely change your thinking, you will change your finances, your family, your future. Say it again. Every night I impress my definite aim into my subconscious, and it obeys. Now close your day with intention. Close your day with power. Close your day with command. For that is how riches begin, not in the morning hustle, but in the silent hour when you tell your mind what it must become. Your final thought before sleep is not a whisper. It is a command. You may think it harmless to drift off thinking of the day's trouble, of unpaid bills, of who wronged you or what you failed to do, but I tell you now that last thought is the seed from which your entire tomorrow grows, and most men plant weeds. They do not realize that the moment before sleep is the most powerful moment of mental suggestion. The conscious mind withdraws, the gates open, and the subconscious accepts without judgment whatever you feed it. It does not test. It does not argue. It simply accepts. And if what you give it is fear, confusion, or lack, you will harvest the same. The tired mind is more suggestible. In that final hour, you hold the golden key to condition the mind into power or poverty. That is why the successful treat this moment as sacred. They do not leave it to chance. They command it. They intend it. They speak a sentence that shapes their destiny, and they speak it until sleep takes them. Let me tell you something most will never understand. The body may be asleep, but the mind is always working. What you give it in those last waking moments becomes the assignment it carries out all night. Whether to arrange plans, attract solutions, stir emotion, or strengthen belief, the mind obeys the last definite thought it received. Henry Ford, after suffering criticism and public failure, would not go to bed with defeat on his lips. He would sit, even in silence, and affirm the certainty of his aim. He would speak calm declarations to himself, not because he needed to be convinced, but because he knew his mind needed to hear it again and again until it obeyed. Carnegie, too, held the practice of final hour intention. He did not speak of the present condition. He affirmed the vision of what would be. He understood that the subconscious cares not for the present. It only acts on what is declared as true, especially when declared with certainty and repetition. The unsuccessful go to bed with doubt. They review their failures. They dramatize their problems. They lie in the dark, repeating everything that could go wrong. Then they rise, tired, heavy, unsure, confused, and call it fate. But it is not fate. It is untrained thought repeated at the wrong hour. You must replace drifting thoughts with declared thought. You must speak your chosen sentence aloud, not in whisper, not in passing, with purpose, with the same authority you would use to lead an army. Why? Because the subconscious is listening, and when it hears a master, it moves mountains. Let me now give you the method. Do not rush this. Do not change it. Obey it nightly, and you will rise with new identity. 1. Write your sentence. It must be definite. It must be clear. It must express the exact financial result, aim, or character you wish to embody. 2. Sit in silence. Turn off every light. Turn away from all noise. Let the room become still. Let your inner voice rise. 3. Speak it slowly, with emotion, not once, but as many times as necessary until it begins to feel like a memory, not a wish. 4th, let sleep come while repeating it. Do not stop speaking it inwardly, even as the body surrenders to rest. Let the sentence be the final impression before all thought fades. And I give you now an affirmation to support this. Each night I sleep, my mind works for me, arranging the riches I have demanded. This is not exaggeration. This is law. The subconscious is your silent partner. It works while you rest, but it only works on clear, repeated instructions. And those instructions must be given when the world is quiet, when all outside suggestion fades, and your voice is the only one that remains. You may think the day is the important part of success, but I say the night determines the day. For a mind that has been given a clear order while the world sleeps will move with more force when the sun rises. This is how the successful begin to walk differently, speak differently, act differently, before the riches even appear. If you forget one night, return the next. If your voice trembles, speak louder. If you doubt, declare with more certainty. For each night you do this, the sentence carves itself deeper into the clay of your mind, and soon it will be fired into iron. Let me remind you again, each night I sleep, my mind works for me, arranging the riches I have demanded. Say this until your heart believes it. Say it until your body feels it. Say it until no part of you remains uncertain. For this is not hope. It is a command issued in the court of your own soul. And once the subconscious receives the order, it begins building the result. Repeat this process every night for the next 30 days. Do not alter your sentence. Do not add to it. Do not subtract. One sentence, one voice, one aim. Repeat it until your outer world can no longer deny the inner instruction. You are not merely speaking words. You are rewriting identity. You are not simply repeating ideas. You are training the unseen laws of mind and matter to obey your definiteness. That is how the world is changed. That is how wealth is attracted. That is how men rise by night before they rise by day. You are the commander now. You have the formula. The only question that remains, will you obey it nightly, or will you fall asleep with the same thoughts that have held you back for years? Say your sentence, sleep with it, let it walk into your soul, and wake with the quiet power of a man who is now becoming. If you have listened thus far, then you now know the hour before sleep is not for rest. It is for command. But what shall you command? What sentence shall you speak? For the subconscious does not respond to vagueness. It does not act upon drifting wishes. It acts only upon definite orders spoken with belief. A single sentence, if crafted with precision and repeated with faith, can rebuild the entire structure of a man's identity. It is no exaggeration to say the man becomes what he commands his mind to become, provided he repeats it long enough and believes it deeply enough. But most men make the fatal error of choosing a sentence that lacks power. They say things like, I want to be rich, or I wish I could change my life. But the subconscious mind rejects weak instruction. It does not move for hopers. It moves only for those who speak as masters. It moves only for those who declare what shall be. Let me teach you how to shape your sentence. It must include 3 elements: your aim, your time frame, and your certainty. Let us break it down. Do not say, I want to be wealthy. Say instead, I earn $100,000 per month rendering valuable service to others, and I begin now. Do not say, I hope for peace. Say, I walk in peace, command my day, and act from purpose at all times. Your sentence must be so clear that if another man read it, he would know exactly what you are becoming. No uncertainty, no apology, no passive phrases. Speak it with finality, as if your life depended on it, because it does. Understand this. Repetition with faith becomes identity. You are not speaking a sentence to inform your mind. You are speaking it to install a new identity. And once that identity is in place, behavior changes. Confidence rises. Wealth responds, because the outer world cannot resist the man who is definite on the inside. Let me remind you of Edwin C. Barnes, a man with no money, no connections, no pedigree, but one mighty sentence. He declared, not casually but with fire, I will go into business with Thomas Edison. Not, I'd like to work for him, not, I hope I meet him. He said, I will go into business with Edison, and repeated it nightly. For years he held to that declaration. For years he worked toward it. And eventually his sentence became his reality. Not by accident, not by luck, but because he had forged it into his very being through nightly repetition and unwavering decision. You must do the same. Your sentence is not decoration, it is construction. You are building the future brick by brick, word by word, night by night. And the material you use is not gold. It is language soaked in belief. Let me now give you the affirmation that reflects this law. The words I repeat before bed build my wealth, shape my identity, and direct my habits. Speak it now. Let your voice not tremble. Speak it as one who has decided. Let it enter your subconscious with force. Let it awaken the dormant power that has long been buried beneath doubt and delay. But hear this warning. You must not change your sentence weakly. Do not adjust it with the weather. Do not alter it with your moods. You must choose once and speak it until it becomes bone, blood, and breath. Definiteness of purpose is law. Every night you repeat the same clear aim, you drive it deeper into the command center of your being. And soon the sentence will no longer feel like a sentence. It will feel like you. And when you become that sentence, the world will respond to you in kind. You will act with more confidence. You will take bolder steps. You will notice resources and relationships that match the man you've declared yourself to be. This is not magic. This is mental law in motion. I now challenge you to write your sentence tonight. Do not wait. Do not revise endlessly. Speak what you desire as if it already exists. Attach a time. Speak with certainty. And repeat it as your final act before sleep, every night for the next 30 days. Here are examples to guide you. I am earning $10,000 per week through honest business that helps others grow. I am confident, bold, and calm. I move with decisiveness and purpose. I attract wealth, influence, and leadership because I speak and serve with power. Choose yours. And once chosen, guard it. Repeat it. Believe it. Let no thought oppose it. Let no day pass without it. For this sentence is not merely a wish. It is the blueprint from which your entire life will be redrawn. Say this again. The words I repeat before bed build my wealth, shape my identity, and direct my habits. Do not just hear these words, live them. Because if you do, you will begin to rise differently, walk differently, act differently. And the world will no longer treat you as it once did. It will obey you. Because you have learned to obey yourself, and you close your eyes and imagine rest. But the mind does not sleep. It is more alive in your rest than in your waking. The conscious mind retires, yes, but the subconscious, your inner builder, your silent worker, remains awake, alert, active. And the question is, what have you given it to build? Most men do not know this. They believe the day is for action and the night is for nothing. They labor for results in daylight and leave their nights to accident. But this is the fatal flaw. For while you sleep, your mind continues in the direction you assigned it. And if you have given it no assignment, it continues in the same direction it went the night before. That is why so many live on repeat. That is why the poor stay poor. They fall asleep with worry, and they rise with tension. They go to bed with regret, and they wake with guilt. They lie down rehearsing failure, and then live another day attracting it. Not because of fate, but because of repetition. Let me say this again. Your outer world is the reflection of your inner repetition. You do not get what you wish. You get what you repeatedly impress upon the subconscious when it is most open, when the body is still and the thinking mind has grown quiet. That moment comes each night, and most waste it. The lazy sleep with complaint. The wealthy sleep with command. The unsuccessful drift into slumber by accident. The successful enter it by design. They do not review defeat. They speak instruction. They do not recall insult. They declare identity. They do not collapse into exhaustion. They step into mental construction. You must train this discipline. No longer can you let your final thoughts be chosen by emotion, entertainment, or fatigue. No longer can you fall asleep without planting the seeds of riches in your inner world. If you do, you will harvest weeds. And if you harvest weeds long enough, your soul forgets how to grow anything else. Mental discipline before bed means one thing. You silence the world and you feed your mind only truth. You speak your aim. You read your sentence. You command your subconscious with absolute certainty, and you repeat it until the suggestion is stronger than every doubt that has ever lived in you. This is not superstition. This is law. You need not believe it. You must only test it. Do this for 30 nights, and you will never doubt again, because your results will rise to meet your command. And when they do, you will remember this night as the moment your life turned. Even great men have used this in silence. Abraham Lincoln, long before he gave speeches that shaped history, rehearsed them in thought at night. He wrote nothing down. He trained his subconscious. He built mental conviction in the dark so that when the time came to speak, his voice carried weight the world could not ignore. You must now do the same. You must give your mind its instructions. Let your final thought be no accident. Let it be purpose. Let it be power. Let it be the same every night until your inner world becomes stronger than your surroundings, until your thinking becomes stronger than your circumstances, until your voice replaces fear with command. Say this now. I now train my mind to expect greatness, and every night I deepen my command. Speak it again, not as a man hoping, but as a man deciding. Let the words burn through all passivity. Let them become the rule of your new identity. For this is the truth. The man who commands his final thought is the man who commands his day, his income, his destiny. But I must offer a warning. Every careless thought before bed becomes a rooted belief if left uncorrected. If you say to yourself, I'll never be rich, or I can't do this, or it's too late, and you repeat that in fatigue, in silence, in stillness, then that becomes the command your subconscious accepts, and it begins building a life to match it. You must guard the gate. You must take responsibility for every word you allow in the last hour of the day. For these are not just thoughts, they are instructions, and your subconscious is not passive. It is a builder that never sleeps. So tonight you have a choice: drift or direct, complain or command, collapse or construct. And if you choose to construct, you will soon find that your mornings change, your days sharpen, your ideas strengthen, your belief deepens. Not by force, but by law. Let me give you one more time the sentence that must shape your night. I now train my mind to expect greatness, and every night I deepen my command. Say it before bed. Say it until the old doubts retreat. Say it until the voice inside you becomes louder than the world around you. Say it until your dreams obey you. Say it until your very body walks with the certainty of a man who is building greatness from the inside out. You do not become rich while awake alone. You become rich when your inner world no longer permits poverty. That is not accomplished in effort, but in identity. And identity is built while the world sleeps. Repeat the command, plant the sentence, guard the gate, for you are becoming, and your mind has already begun the work. You have now been given the hour, the command, and the sentence, but none of it will matter without one final ingredient: repetition. The subconscious mind, powerful as it is, does not respond to a single spark. It responds to the flame that refuses to go out. It obeys what is repeated with faith and persistence. Let this sink deep into your spirit. You do not become what you say once. You become what you say repeatedly. The mind forms habits, and habits form destiny. And repetition is the tool, the hammer, that shapes the habit until it becomes identity. There is no secret more powerful, more ignored, and more destructive to the masses than this. Failure is repeated, poverty is repeated, excuses are repeated, doubt is repeated, not by choice, but by carelessness. And what is repeated nightly becomes law to the subconscious, even if it is ruin. Therefore, if you are to break the chains, if you are to command riches, if you are to form new identity, you must choose your sentence and repeat it every single night, without fail, without drift, without delay. This is what I call cosmic habit force, the great law that governs all habit, mental and spiritual. It makes no distinction between what serves you and what destroys you. It only obeys what is given consistently. That is why success, like failure, is automatic, once you have trained the habit behind it. Consider Thomas Edison. Did he invent the electric light with talent alone? Number. He repeated belief. Belief in an idea, belief in himself, belief in the law, 10,000 times. When others quit, he persisted. And when he spoke his faith to himself before sleep, it was not hope. It was reinforcement. He knew the law. Edison failed repeatedly, but never in spirit. Each night he repeated his aim. Each morning he resumed his pursuit. And eventually the world bowed to his command, because he did not change his mind. He did not alter his aim. He repeated his decision until the world had no choice but to obey. So must you. The sentence you speak before bed must not be uttered casually. It must be spoken with emotion, with authority, with the same certainty as one commands a servant, and you must say it again and again and again until it becomes you. There is greater power in one sentence repeated 1,000 times than in 1,000 affirmations spoken once, for the mind, like metal, must be bent through pressure, and repetition is that pressure. It reshapes thought, molds attitude, and installs identity. Let me now give you the sentence to affirm the law itself. I repeat my aim nightly until my mind and actions move without hesitation. This is not poetry. This is the governing principle of your transformation. The man who repeats with faith will act with courage. The man who repeats his identity nightly will walk into each day already victorious, because the battle was won in the silence of repetition. But let me give you structure. Structure is the soul of all mental discipline. Without it, the law fades. Here is how you obey the law of repetition. First, same time, choose a set hour, not after television, not when exhausted, but a chosen hour where you sit with your sentence and speak it aloud with clear voice. Second, same words. Do not change your sentence every week. Hold the same aim, the same phrasing, until it is as natural as your name. Third, same emotion. Do not recite dryly. Infuse the sentence with desire, with imagination, with purpose. Let the subconscious feel its fire. Fourth, same duration, at least 90 days. Repetition must not be occasional. It must be done without missing. For 90 consecutive nights, then and only then will your identity begin to change. This is the cost of change, not luck, not waiting, not more information, but repeating the truth until the lie no longer exists inside you. Let me issue a warning. Neglect this, and you will return to the drift. You will fall back into the mental pattern of the masses. You will say, I tried that, and life will answer. You did not try long enough. Because law is not impressed by a few nights of effort. It is moved by unrelenting discipline. You must now speak as a master. You must look into the night and declare your sentence with command. You must become the man who says what he means and repeats what he means until the world responds. Say this with me now. I repeat my aim nightly until my mind and actions move without hesitation. Feel it. Decide it. Repeat it again. For every night you do, the old you weakens and the new you rises, not by magic, not by chance, but by law. When you walk into a room, the world must feel that you are not the same man who walked there last year. And the reason will not be your clothing, your title, or your possessions. The reason will be this. You are now the man who speaks identity into himself and repeats it until it becomes unbreakable. That power is not far off. It is not hidden in books or mentors. It is in your mouth. It is in your voice. It is in the sentence you choose, and whether or not you obey the law of repetition behind it. Decide now, speak tonight, repeat without fail, and soon you will not recognize the man who once doubted. He will be gone, replaced by the one you repeated into existence. You now understand the law of repetition. You know that what you repeat, you become. But I must now take you deeper, because repetition without emotion is like a man hammering on cold iron. The subconscious does not simply hear what you say, it absorbs what you feel. Emotion is the flame that makes the imprint permanent. Let me say it plainly. Emotion is the language of the subconscious mind. You cannot deceive it with lifeless words. You cannot impress it with casual phrases. You must speak your sentence with intensity, with conviction, with certainty. Without this emotional fuel, your sentence is reduced to mere noise. And yet, how do most men enter the final hour of their day? They lie in silence, but not in peace. They relive their failures, revisit arguments, rehearse pain. They do not realize that each emotional replay of regret is an instruction to their subconscious to produce more of the same. They feed their future with the emotion of the past. You cannot rise rich if you sleep in bitterness. You cannot become strong if you sleep with guilt. You cannot attract confidence if you fall asleep with emotional confusion. The emotions you bring to bed become the mood of your next day and the mold of your subconscious programming. That is why you must command your emotion before sleep. You must not allow worry to speak louder than your desire. You must not allow fatigue to speak louder than your sentence. You must take full responsibility for your inner state, not just your outer actions. Because the law responds to state, not just repetition. Understand this. Emotion is suggestion magnified. A phrase whispered in boredom passes like smoke. But a phrase spoken with fire enters the subconscious like a branding iron. It carves itself into identity. It becomes fixed, permanent, living. That is the kind of sentence you must deliver before you sleep. Now I warn you, you cannot command emotion by accident. You must prepare yourself. You must create a nightly ritual. You must enter the final hour of each day as a man steps into sacred territory, with control, with intention, and with reverence for the forces he is about to influence. Here is how to command your emotional state before sleep. 1. Breathe deeply. Let the body release the residue of the day. Sit or lie with dignity, not collapse. 2. Reflect only on what builds you. Think not of failure, but of progress. Not of fear, but of vision. Let your attention rest only on what is becoming, not what was. 3. Recite your sentence aloud, with feeling. Do not whisper it like a man uncertain. Say it like a ruler. Say it like a prophet. Say it like a man who speaks law. 4. Repeat it inwardly as you drift into sleep. Let no thought interrupt it. Let no emotion rival it. Fall asleep soaked in the conviction of your future. John D. Rockefeller, one of the wealthiest men who ever lived, understood this principle. But he did not use poetry, and he did not use theory. He used evening reflection, not as tradition, but as direction. He did not allow the day to close without reviewing his mental and emotional state and replacing confusion with command. Rockefeller once said that he gave thanks before bed, not merely to be grateful, but to focus his emotional power on certainty. He thanked the riches he expected. He affirmed the stability he had created. He gave his mind a tone of peaceful dominance, and the next day he rose to meet results that matched that tone. You must do the same. You must become the ruler of your emotional atmosphere before you sleep. Do not allow imagination to play the fool. Direct it. Let it serve you. Let your final thoughts be felt as deeply as they are spoken. Only then do they pass into the subconscious as fixed commands. I now give you the affirmation that governs this law. I do not sleep in fear. I sleep in power. My thoughts tonight are my life tomorrow. Repeat that now, slowly, with gravity. This is not a mantra. It is a verdict. It is a mental court order that no fear shall pass beyond this hour, that only purpose shall enter the gates of your soul during the sacred hours of rest. And let me say this. Emotion must serve you, not sabotage you. If you do not control your feeling will control your future. And there are many men whose lives are wrecked not because of failure in action, but because of failure to govern emotion in the silence of night. The hour before sleep is not for reflection. It is for redirection. You are not there to review the day's mistakes. You are there to declare the direction of your mind. If you have sinned, repent quickly and move forward. If you have failed, learn quickly and affirm strength. But never, never fall asleep with an open wound. Why? Because the subconscious will nourish the wound in the dark. It will feed it, enlarge it, turn it into identity. And then, even if you act differently by day, you will find yourself drawn back to the same emotions, the same thoughts, the same self-image, not by fate, but by your own repeated nightly submission. You must begin tonight. No delay, no drift, no compromise. Enter your bedchamber like a man entering the temple of mind. Speak your sentence. Speak it with emotion. And declare this with full authority. I do not sleep in fear. I sleep in power. My thoughts tonight are my life tomorrow. Do not forget this. Emotion is the magnifier of all suggestion. You can say the right thing with the wrong tone, and your mind will reject it. But say it with belief, with vision, with fire, and your subconscious will accept it as truth. The world responds not to the man who wishes, but to the man who believes. And belief is trained, not in crowds, not in books, not in daylight, but in the dark, before sleep, through emotion and repetition. Control that hour, and you control your future. You may have thought that success comes from action, and yes, action plays its part. But hear me now, action is the servant of identity. A man cannot act contrary to who he believes he is, not for long. And who he believes he is built, not in public, not by applause, but in silence, in solitude, and most powerfully while he sleeps. Let me tell you the truth that has been kept from you. Your identity is not fixed at birth. It is not determined by your past. It is not cemented by your mistakes. It is shaped, molded, written into your soul by the thoughts you repeat when the world is quiet. You are not born a failure or a success. You become one in the night. Each man becomes what he believes about himself. But those beliefs are not decided once. They are installed through repetition. And the moment of greatest installation is in the final hour before sleep. For then the walls of resistance are lowered, the subconscious is open, and your voice becomes the architect of the man you shall be. You do not become wealthy by working alone. You become wealthy by believing you are the kind of man who creates wealth. And that belief is not installed by reading books. It is not created by motivation. It is constructed every night, brick by brick, sentence by sentence, identity command by identity command. Let me say it again. You are not programming outcomes. You are programming identity. For once you believe you are the type of man who builds wealth, delivers value, walks with certainty, speaks with power, then every action, every habit, every instinct begins to follow that script, not by force, but by law. But if you go to bed in doubt, you will rise in hesitation. If you lie down with self-rejection, you will rise with confusion. If you fall asleep with the belief that you are still who you were yesterday, you will live the same day over and over until you die a man unchanged. You must intervene. You must take hold of this hour and use it not just to feel better, but to become different. This is not about relaxation. It is about reconstruction. You are not drifting into slumber. You are building an identity stronger than all the weakness of your former self. The voice you speak in the final minutes of your day will soon become the voice you hear when you wake. It will shape the decisions you make without thought. It will guide your posture, your energy, your attitude. It will determine whether you rise with fire or crawl through another morning of mediocrity. Let me give you an identity affirmation now. I am the man who creates wealth because I think, speak, and act with purpose. Repeat that slowly, again, until your body begins to accept it, until it no longer feels like a hope, but like a memory from the future. That is how identity is formed, not in a single night, but through faithful, emotional, repeated suggestion until the lie you lived in dies. And let me tell you a story. Woodrow Wilson, long before he became president, practiced a discipline few knew about. He would rehearse his inner convictions mentally at night. He would build the voice that one day would lead a nation, not in public, but in private. Not with others, but alone. Not by luck, but by deliberate nightly repetition of identity. And when he finally stood before crowds, he spoke not as a man trying to be great, but as one who had already become great in thought. His actions flowed from his belief. His belief was no accident. It was built in silence. So I say again, the hour before bed is not your closing hour. It is your construction hour. Use it. Use it with intent. Do not fall asleep like the man you were. Speak the man you are becoming, and let your mind etch that man into your soul with every passing night. Here's your full identity statement to use tonight. I am a man of thought, action, faith, and riches. Let it guide your breathing. Let it replace all self-doubt. Let it be the sentence that survives the day and rises with you tomorrow. Because the man who falls asleep with identity wakes with purpose. Repeat it now with fire. I am a man of thought, action, faith, and riches. And now I tell you, if you speak this sentence every night for the next 30 nights, with emotion, with vision, with decision, you will no longer merely desire to become rich. You will begin to feel as if you already are. And once that feeling lives inside you, it will create the world around you. You will say no to distractions not by discipline, but by identity. You will walk into rooms and be respected, not by force, but because identity precedes expression. You will expect opportunity, command value, and move with certainty, not because of what you know, but because of who you have become. But this will not happen by chance. Identity is not inherited. It is not granted. It is repeated night after night, until there is no longer a gap between who you were and who you decided to be. So begin tonight. Say the sentence. Feel the truth. Repeat it until it lives in you. And soon the world will meet not the man you were, but the man you forged in silence when no one else was watching. Now that you have heard the law, now that you have received the hour, the sentence, the repetition, the emotion, and the identity, I bring you to the final command. This is the moment of decision, for knowledge without obedience is drift, and drift is the quiet destroyer of every man who once had a dream. Let us not speak of theory. Let us not speak of more information. Let us speak of law. The law is this: success is not earned at dawn, it is decided the night before. The man who leaves his thoughts to chance before sleep leaves his future to chaos. But the man who issues command before rest shapes his entire destiny while the world sleeps. This is not new, this is ancient, this is eternal. The last thought before sleep is your clearest prayer, not to the world, not to chance, but to your own mind, your own being, and the infinite intelligence that works through you. Do you believe the successful leave this to mood? Do you think the wealthy go to bed in confusion? Number, they issue command, they do not drift into dreams, they declare what the dream shall be, and their mind obeys. Andrew Carnegie himself instructed the young men under his influence to write and repeat their definite chief aim before bed, to speak it aloud with faith, to impress it upon the subconscious, to use the night not for rest alone, but for spiritual construction. He understood riches are not an accident. They are the product of repeated, definite thought, spoken with faith, backed by emotion, and enforced by action. The final hour is not a quiet fade. It is a fiery forge. It is where men command their future and where the untrained surrender to fate. You must no longer treat this as optional. You must treat it as law, because that is what it is. Nightly autosuggestion is not a ritual of the rich. It is the price of admission to abundance. This is your hour. This is your ritual. This is the discipline that must now rule your life. Not once a week, not when you feel good, but every single night, without exception, without apology, without drift. Let me give you now the 3 final affirmations that complete this journey. Speak them aloud. Speak them now. I repeat only what I desire to become. You are no longer allowed to rehearse defeat. You are no longer permitted to entertain fear. You are now a man of selection. You choose your thoughts. You repeat only what builds. You repeat only what shapes. You repeat only what matches the destiny you have claimed. I am now the man I once hoped to be. Hope is over. Wishing is over. You have stepped into command. You do not wait to become. You speak yourself into identity. And each night, with each repetition, you become more of him. Each night I command my mind, and each day my mind commands my life. This is the circle of creation. The mind obeys the voice, the body obeys the mind, and the world obeys the body that acts with certainty. You are now inside the loop of transformation. Do not break it. Obey it. Now here is the final exercise. This is not optional. This is your contract. 1, choose one sentence. Let it contain your aim, your time frame, and your certainty. 2, write it on paper, not in your mind, on paper with your hand. It must be seen. 3, recite it aloud before bed every night. Same time, same tone, same fire, until your voice becomes your fate. Do it for 30 days without fail, not 28, not when you feel like it, 30. Because law requires consistency, not feeling. Do this, and I make you a promise, not of magic, not of luck, but of law. Your identity will shift. Your confidence will rise. Your actions will change. Your decisions will sharpen. And wealth will begin to move toward you, not because of what you chase, but because of who you have become. This speech is not for inspiration. It is not for entertainment. It is for command. If you drift from it, you return to the man you were. But if you obey it, you will never be that man again. Now say this as your oath. I command my mind before sleep. I speak only what I choose to become. And each day I rise in obedience to the man I have declared. Say it again. And when this speech ends, do not return to the old routine. Return to the sentence. Return to the mirror. Return to the truth. You are what you repeat. And you are now the man who repeats only what builds, what commands, what becomes. Let others sleep in fear. Let others hope. You command, you build, you rise. Now begin. Choose the sentence. Repeat it tonight. Repeat it every night. And let your whole life obey it. You have now received the final command. Do not break it. Do not forget it. Do not drift. You are the master now. The mind is yours. The voice is yours. And soon the wealth will be too.